Hello everybody and welcome back. It's definitely good to talk to all of you again. And today's video is a battle that I had probably 2 days ago on North. Now I'm in my Amagi and the battle is actually reasonably balanced. We all have a pretty even balance in terms of battleships, cruisers, and destroyers. And we even have a carrier, which is kind of rare at tier 8. But this is a battle that could best be described as sort of a series of unfortunate decisions that ended up costing us the battle. And so I'm going to sort of look at it and break it down for all of you. First up, it's the map North. And North is a map, especially when it comes to the 4-cap domination, that the decisions you make sort of right at the very beginning is going to affect how your game plays out. First things first, how many caps do you take? And which caps do you go for? Well, ideally, if you're on North, I think the focus should be take 2 caps, hold it, and then sink the enemy team. If you have the advantage, take 3, and then wreck the enemy team. But never get in the position where you don't have a cap. Because if you don't even have 1 cap, that's really hard to play with. If you have only 1 cap and you don't really contest the 2nd cap, that's also really hard to deal with. So let's take a look at what happens in this battle. It actually starts off reasonably well, although with one minor mistake that at the beginning isn't really going to be all that big of a mistake, but will end up hurting us a lot. Take a look at the placement of our destroyers. We have 3 destroyers. 2 of them spawned near AB, and 1 of them spawned around C. We have a carrier, which is a huge advantage because the carrier can provide spotting early. But take a look at what happens. One of the destroyer goes to A, and the other one follows it to A. One destroyer has gone for C, but he's going to be contested by another destroyer at Charlie. And that's okay because we don't really need Charlie cap. If we get it, it's nice, but we don't really need it. And take a look at the mistake here. The destroyer that went to A, the one that was following the other one, should have gone for B. And that's because as our planes overfly B, it's clear there's nothing there. At the beginning of the battle, had we had 3 destroyers on 3 caps, especially because we could actually scout out Bravo cap, would have allowed us to apply sort of triple cap pressure at the beginning. This would have forced the enemy team, one, into making potentially a mistake by rushing into early and maybe trying to go in to contest the cap, would have been easier on us. But 2 destroyers both went to A, and after they went to A, you don't really see them do all that much. We don't actually get C cap. Our destroyer stays there, but we don't actually get it. Not only that, but that destroyer also makes the tiniest mistake, not exactly sitting in the best spot either. If you're going to go to C and you're trying to deny a cap, the ideal position really is to sort of hug the island that's around, I guess, Echo or Echo 7, just to sort of hug that island and to sit there and not really have to deal with anything coming around the corner. But he's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Not exactly the best spot. My job, seeing that there was a huge group of ships over at the Alpha Cap, was to head in that direction, try to engage things along the way. And as you can see right here, the enemy team has 1 destroyer capping Delta. They have 1 that's capping Bravo freely, because nothing's gone there to cap it. And 1 destroyer still cannot cap Charlie because their destroyer has done the very smart thing of hiding right at the corner of Foxtrot 7 and denying that cap. Look at where our 2 destroyers have gone. Big open ocean, trying to engage cruisers and battleships. Don't need you to do that. Needed you to cap Bravo. But even at this point in time, it is still not the end of the game. Because even at this stage, it's still playable. Enemy team has 2 caps. We have 1.5. But take a look at what we have over there at CD compared to the enemy team. The enemy team has 2 destroyers. We have a destroyer and a cruiser. In most ways of looking at that battle, we should have it. We should be able to kill both those destroyers and take both of those caps. And if we took them, that's a huge amount of added pressure onto the enemy team. I'm on the way towards Alpha, and massive wave of Fubuki torpedoes. And as an Amagi, you know, you don't turn all that fast, so I eat a bunch of Fubuki Torps. And that really does hurt. Thing is, had we taken this cap earlier, might not have had to deal with this Fubuki. But we didn't, so took a bunch of damage. It's okay. I'm in a battleship. I know what I'm doing. 3 torpedoes. Yes, it hurt, but I can still recover from it. That's alright. But go back to the focus on the CD caps. Take a look what's going on. Cruiser is moving into Delta. Our destroyer is being attacked by their destroyer through middle, and we lose that destroyer. Not great, not great, but hey, I mean, even if they now take the Charlie cap, we should have Delta. We should be okay there. And on this side, we still have Alpha, so all is not lost. Things are still okay. The Fubuki I managed to hit with 5 shells, managed to do quite a bit of damage to him. So I'm still thinking, yeah, right now, not great, but doable still. Enemy team, their ships are at least giving me the nice shots. That Pensacola, oh yes, you know, if you give me a broadside like that, I am definitely going to hurt you. And so there we go, nice salvos, double Citadel, devastating strike of Pensacola. At this particular point in time, we've had Alpha for quite a while. We still don't have Bravo. So I thought, okay, we do seem to have some ships there. That Fubuki took some early damage from me. So you know what? I'm going to turn my ship around and I'm going to try to help my team take Bravo. I will need cruisers to get in there and actually help me capture it. On the other side, our cruiser has taken Delta, which is good. And the cruiser does the smart thing of not going through the gap in the islands and actually goes back up north. That was fine. Everything there was okay. I turn around and I see that we have an Atago that is moving into the cap area. It's actually what I want the cruiser to do. But the cruiser I think should have maybe just held up just a little bit because there was a battleship there. Probably should have waited until the battleship was dead before moving. But I also think that the cruiser thought that he could probably bag the Fubuki there, so he went in. We lose the Atago, but that's okay. I do manage to kill the only other realistic threat to cruisers, which was that Nagato. All's good. I have a Cleveland here with me. I get the Cleveland into Bravo cap, and it's a full HP Cleveland against a very low HP Fubuki. Should be an easy battle there. So I turn, and as I turn to head towards Bravo, I see that the Cleveland turns with me, and I'm thinking, great, we are absolutely going to be fine because we're going to be able to get into that cap. I look at the Alpha caps and the Delta caps. Now, Alpha we're pushing nicely. Delta, our cruiser's coming back up, but I know that there are 2 destroyers over there. So I'm just hoping that cruiser is able to do a little bit more damage to that mostly full HP destroyer that's there. The one with really, really low HP should be an easy kill. So I'm thinking, okay, there we go. We've had that other destroyer spotted nice and far away. That Cleveland, even though it's really, really low HP, should be able to at least do some damage. That's all I'm hoping for. But I'm thinking that, hey, this Cleveland that's coming with me goes into B, caps it, we're in good shape. The Fubuki pops up, really low HP, only 700. And I'm thinking, yes, this is perfect. Our Cleveland takes out that Fubuki, gets into that cap. Nothing to worry about. All the battleships are not near B. And the only other ship that can really be a threat to that Cleveland is a cruiser. And that cruiser's all the way down around I-3. So I'm thinking, this is great. We're going to get this. And the Cleveland, for some unexplained reason, either wasn't looking at his map, didn't count the number of ships that were south, decides to peel off, ignore the Bravo cap, and go after their destroyer. And this is essentially the major turning point in this battle. Because without Bravo, we're going to be down 3 caps. And even though we have a points lead, I'm heading in the wrong direction. I can't get the ship swung around fast enough to go to Bravo. Because if I decide to turn my ship, I would have to sort of risk my ship by going through that rather narrow channel, and I wasn't sure I could make that turn with an Amagi. So my plan right now is, okay, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to quickly hope that the destroyer of ours that's right now around F2 is going to turn around and go for Bravo, and I'm going to try and deal with this enemy team that's here. That's 3 battleships and a cruiser. If I can kill them all, then we're at least good shape points-wise, because even though the enemy team right now has a small lead, that lead won't last too long. I get 2 nice salvos into that Tirpitz, do good damage, and our carrier helps out. The carrier sees that I've done good damage to that Tirpitz and decides to come in and attack. Great decision by the carrier. Our destroyer, I'm starting to see that he's moving towards the Bravo cap. At this time, I see that even our Cleveland has turned towards the Bravo cap, and I'm thinking, okay, what's my plan? And my plan is, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sail down the 3 line, and when I sail down the 3 line, I'm going to have my bow pointed towards the 2 battleships on the 4 line. That's around H4, and that's going to keep me nicely angled, so that's good. I'm going to take pot shots at the cruiser, the New Orleans, and try to do as much damage as possible. I look over and I see that our CV wasn't able to kill the Tirpitz. Did good damage, but didn't kill the Tirpitz. But I'm thinking, at 12,000 HP, I come out, 1 good salvo, Tirpitz is underwater. And as soon as that happens, our cruiser should be able to take the Bravo cap. So this battle, at this particular point, while we're down on points and on caps, is still winnable. I land a very, very pretty hit onto the enemy Tirpitz. 17,000 damage, 6 penetrations. No citadels, but that's kind of the thing when you fight Tirpitzes. It's hard to get those citadels. A lot of times, if you just get penetration damage, that's pretty decent. The enemy Tirpitz, however, on the B cap, got stuck. And people pointed out, it's stuck, and I'm thinking, yes. And I look at the shells firing away, and I'm like, that Tirpitz isn't even aimed at me. Come out. 12,000 HP, and you've just seen me do 17,000 to another Tirpitz. I get a very, very good salvo. All penetrations, nuked that Tirpitz. This is great. This is fantastic. Again, I'm watching my Benson, and I'm like, oh, that Benson, what are you doing? I know you're trying to go after these battleships again, but that's not really your job. But I'm thinking, okay, it's a Kiev versus a Cleveland. That Cleveland should have a pretty good chance against a Kiev, right? Yeah, you'll see. That didn't go well. I see the torpedoes launched by the Benson, and I'm thinking, okay, those torpedoes look pretty good. So take my attention off of the Tirpitz, nuke the New Orleans, double citadel, another devastating strike, confederate high caliber, all those nice little things. But the torpedoes just barely run out of range. I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine. I'll save up another salvo. That Tirpitz is still giving me a broadside. I'll finish him off. I'm looking at my HP, and I'm seeing 25,000 HP. 57 seconds more on the repair kit. Let me nuke that Tirpitz, and if all things don't go well, I'll go and ram the North Carolina. At this particular time, the destroyer's like, yes, I'm going to go for Bravo. And I'm thinking, okay, perfect, fantastic. You go for Bravo. We're going to get this. And did you see that? That Cleveland that went to engage that destroyer with near full HP actually gets sunk by a destroyer. How? How did that happen? Anyways, having taken a decent hit from the North Carolina, I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go for the ram, take out the last remaining major threat, and with all the ships that we have, we're going to get this. And I have 5 kills already. But our CV gets in just ahead of me and kills the North Carolina. Suddenly, I realize, wait a minute, there's torpedo indicators. I look behind, and now we're Benson. Trying at long range to kill the North Carolina that I was that close to. I had just gotten bombed by their CV. I had just had to repair a fire. Friendly torpedoes cause flooding. And I'm going to die. And because that Benson expended those torpedoes on me, and because our Cleveland had failed to deal with that Kiev, the Benson up close against the Kiev gets nailed by the torpedoes. We lose our only ability to cap because the battleships can't get there fast enough with that big of a points disadvantage. The fact that the enemy team has 3 caps. Oh yeah, and the fact that I'm going to get killed from that destroyer hit from the friendly is going to put our team at such a disadvantage in points. We end up losing this battle. And that's what happens. A series of really unfortunate decisions ends up costing our team a very, very, very winnable battle. I hope you guys enjoyed this match analysis. Have a good one, and I'm looking forward to talking to all of you again soon.